We're talking about emotional bank accounts. We're talking about proactive versus reactive. And we're also talking about beginning with the end in mind. Hello, welcome to Atlanta. We are in hot Atlanta. My name is Steven. This is Contemporary Speaks. Today we have a wonderful podcast planned for you guys. Call somebody, text somebody. We pray that today the information we share is very useful for you. We're talking about emotional bank accounts. We're talking about proactive versus reactive. And we're also talking about beginning with the end in mind. So very important podcast today. Thank you for joining us. Let's get started.
Get ready for some positive, encouraging, inspiring information. But before we jump into this episode, I'd like to invite you to join this community to hear more episodes that will help you become healthier emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. All I want you to do is click on the subscribe button. We love your support, and it's incredible to see all your comments, and we're just getting started. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to us.
I need to find a quiet place, away from all the noise, a place where I can hear your voice. Speak to me the way that you do. Lord, I need to talk with you. Although you know everything, you are my peace, my comforter, and my sanity. Lord, take me away with your breeze. Put my mind at ease. I say to self, be still, my heart. God heals the broken soul. He will not abandon you. Wait for him in his garden. I will sing his song of praise. I will dance before his throne. I will bow at the door of his gates. I will love my Lord forevermore. You are my peace, my comforter, and my sanity. Lord, take me away with your breeze. Put my mind at ease. Ooh, help me forget all my enemies. my sanity. Lord, take me away with your breeze, put my mind at ease. You are my peace, my comforter, and my sanity. Lord, take me away with your breeze, put my mind at ease.
Good job. I love that song. It's just so relaxing and so soothing and so calm. It's almost like a perfect song when you are extremely stressed. You're going out of your mind and you just don't know how to deal with it or handle that pressure at that moment. That just is like a perfect song to just kind of remind you that God will not abandon you, that He is for you, His word is true. Just meet Him, seek Him. The Bible says, draw near to God, He'll draw near to you, right? And so that's wonderful. That's so wonderful. Once again, thank you guys for joining us online. Thank you for joining us in-house. We're going to have a wonderful time today. It's really good to see the faces and to see the people. I mean, really, honestly, it does warm my heart. So thank you guys for coming. I do appreciate that. And thank you guys for as well watching online if you're watching this. And hopefully, this is our podcast number 21. And so hopefully there's something today that we share that's really going to help you out. We're talking about emotional bank accounts today. And so as I talk about that, it's going to be kind of very interesting. Emotional bank account. Everybody has an emotional bank account. It's kind of very important to kind of think about some of these things that I'm about to say. How do you make a deposit into someone's emotional bank account? And how do you make a withdrawal from that account as well? The way that really works is every positive interaction is a deposit. And here's what I want you to realize. There has to be a good balance, a healthy balance, right? So any type of outward act of support or show of care is how you deposit something into someone's emotional bank account. Now, I mean, you can be technical and you can get into some things and you can start thinking about how do banks operate. Sometimes there's thievery in the bank and you're putting money in the bank and, the bank is, you got somebody who's stealing the money or taking that. So sometimes you can deposit into someone's emotional bank account, but you're not getting the credit. The credit's not showing up because they're mentally in a bad place or in a different place to where all the deposits you are actually making don't really mean anything, right? So think of your emotional bank account as like a real bank account and how a real bank account would work. One of the other things too is that how do you deposit into someone's emotional bank account? It's outward, remember this, outward show of care and support. And so, bringing your significant other maybe flowers, or knowing that your significant other may have had a difficult day at work, a hard day at work, and you say, you know what, I know you had a rough day, dinner's ready, I've already made you dinner. So these are outward ways in which we can make healthy deposits. And so every negative interaction is how we withdraw out of that account. Now, and I talked about balance. No one has a bank account where they just put money in and never withdraw the money. No one does that, right? Unless you are just, all your bills are paid and you only need money. When you deposit money, eventually you will withdraw that money and use that money. And so even with relationships, you will make these deposits, but there will be times where you need to make withdrawals. And so this is the thing that you have to realize with the relationships. A lot of times we just think that we're here to just make, positive interactions all the time. And there should be no negative interactions. The key is that you make enough deposits that when you do a withdrawal, you don't over withdraw the account. that you make a withdrawal and it is okay to make that withdrawal, and it doesn't kind of like put your account in the red. Anybody ever bounce a check, or you know what I mean? It's like, hey, you don't have enough funds in here and you have to pay a fee and a fine and all that. And once again, the emotional bank account is really sort of the same. There's actually a study that shows that you need 5 positive interactions to make up for 1 negative interaction. 5 positive. So this is how sometimes marriages become strained and marriages become stressed, or even friendships become strained or stressed, because our interaction is always arguing, always fighting, and it's draining, you know. So you need 5 good makeup comebacks for 1 really serious negative. And so just kind of think about this, because we all have these bank accounts, and one of the things is that your positive interaction is more impactful on your relationship, be it a friendship or, you know, be it a spouse or whatever that might be, a significant other. Your positive interaction is more impactful than you simply saying, I love you. So a lot of times we are good at saying, I love you, but the positive interaction is a show of I love you, not a word, I love you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if you really want to like impact someone, I'm not saying don't say I love you. Like, I'm not going to say I love you. No, say I love you, but more powerful than I love you is a show of love. Okay? And now here's something to think about as well, that every relationship, when it first starts, it starts with a 0 balance. Okay? And I know that a lot of times some bankers, think of yourself as a banker, we want to credit the account immediately. You know, you got a $1,000 credit limit. You know, they haven't put any money in the bank, and you just met them and you immediately credit the account all this credit. When the reality is that's not healthy. The first thing that you have to realize is that when you meet someone, everybody, when they meet each other, you're starting with a 0 balance in your account until you make deposits. And there are some people that when you meet them immediately, instead of making deposits, they make withdrawals. So as soon as you meet them, they start asking you for favors. They ask you for money. They ask you, can you do this? They haven't made any, like, there's no connection. There's no relationship. There's no deposits that have been made or anything like that. And they always have something they need you to do. Now, this can be draining. And this could be stressful. And here's the one thing that typically does happen. The areas of our life that we're stressed in, we don't deal with. It shows up and blows up in other areas of our life that it shouldn't. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, hard day at work. Then you come home, you blow up on the family, right? Or your boss really chewed you out and got on you and said, you keep making this mistake, I'm going to fire you. And so as soon as you get home, the kids do one thing and you blow up on the kids. Why can't they just sit down? And so sometimes, a lot of times, stress is not dealt with in the area of the stress. And that goes back into the last podcast where we talked about identify the area of the battle so you can properly fight the war. But when you're talking about emotional bank accounts, right? The thing that you have to understand is that those accounts can get overdrawn, right? There are certain relationships that you can be in, and, you know, think about it. The bank has many customers. You're not the only customer that banks at that bank. So different people are making deposits and different people are making huge withdrawals. Brittany worked at the bank, right? And so she always talked about, you know, sometimes people would try to withdraw money, and then when it was a certain amount, they had to report it and things like that. Like, you know, if the amount was really large, they had to write that down, document it. So this mindset of when you're in a relationship and someone makes a huge withdrawal, right, on that account, on that emotional bank, because everybody has their own line of credit with the bank. Everybody has their own relationship with the bank. You understand that? And so that's why sometimes you see people and you just think, here comes bad news. Do you know what I mean? You see people and you say, okay, here comes, I got to get my mind right, because Here comes, I already know, she gonna wanna withdraw, and I'm gonna have to tell her, you don't have that much in your account, ma'am. And she's gonna argue with me and say, yes, I do. And I'm gonna have to like come behind this, look at your screen, babe. It's not there, right? And so there's some people you're just gonna have to deal with. Well, can I get a loan? Well, that's not this department. So emotional bank accounts are real. And the key is that sometimes we don't realize that when we're dealing with someone, we're dealing sort of with a bank account, right? And so it's very important that we reaffirm and share moments of love and care, not just with words, but actions, okay? Here's something I think about when it comes to, emotional bank accounts. I kind of think about Matthew chapter 25. In Matthew chapter 25, you remember the 5 virgins were wise and 5 were foolish. Well, what was kind of interesting is that to me, when I read this, it really comes off very interesting because there's a point where the Messiah comes, the bridegroom comes, and everyone who is ready, they begin to enter into this gate, this door. Well, the foolish say, give us some of your oil because our lamps are going out. But the wise bridesmaids answer them and say, no, the oil that we have might not be enough for us and you. So the oil is really sort of like your spirituality, your mental health. This oil is sort of the thing that keeps you going in this race and helps you not quit or give up. We all need gas in our car to get to a destination. And this is what this oil represents. And they are literally saying, I can't supply you with any more emotional help. You're going to have to go and get it from where we got it from. Do you see this? And it's almost like cutting off the person. Be like, your account is overdrawn, and it's okay. You don't want to serve on a level that drives you mad. Serve on a level that runs you out of your mind, or serves on a level that now you don't have enough. It's like, okay, my family's going to have dinner, and but I'm just going to take what we have left, and I'm just going to give it away to this other family so they can eat. And then my family comes home and there's nothing to eat. So God is not really asking us to give what we actually need. Okay? So that's what we do sometimes. We're giving away what we actually need, and we're losing our sanity in the process. That's not how you serve. We serve out an abundance and an overflow of what He has supplied us with. Our cup runneth over, and what you're getting is the overflow of my cup. I can't deplete myself and serve you and help you. Do you understand that? And we shouldn't think that God even expects that of us. You can never give what you don't have. Remember that. And I think that emotionally we try to. Like I try to give you more time, more love, more attention when you are draining and straining or a vampire. I don't have to do that. You can do what these wise bridesmaids did. I don't have no more for you. I can't help you. You're going to have to get it for yourself. You're going to have to get healthy for yourself. And this is very interesting how this is all kind of put and arranged. And I love it. Jesus says it as well in another area. It's in Matthew chapter 7, verse 6. He says, don't give what is holy to the dogs, and don't throw your pearls before swine. He's basically saying don't make the investment in certain characteristics, in certain people. So the dog and the swine, the dog and the pig, they represent characteristics of people. Once again, you can deposit into them, but it means nothing to them. They'll still look at it like, you never do anything for me. You don't love me. I just took you to the movies and dinner last night. I don't know. I mean, I just told you how much I love. I wrote this poem to you, remember? It says how beautiful you are and how much you mean to me. It's like, well, I'm not talking about that. So you can make deposits that don't matter. And Jesus says, don't do that. Don't deposit things into people that is not going to benefit them. These are dogs and these are pigs. And so you're not obligated according to the spiritualness of our walk with God and the understanding of God. We're not obligated to deposit into bottomless pits. Are you with me? Deep. Because we have a tendency to want to do that. So the next thing is this here, proactive versus reactive. And this is the part of the podcast where you just need to do sort of a self-diagnosis. Like, as I talk about these things, internalize what I'm saying and then ask yourself, am I proactive or am I reactive? Now, here's the key. If you're proactive, kudos to you, hand claps to you. If you're reactive, you don't have to stay the same. If you find that when we go through these things that you're more of a reactive person, don't get discouraged. Just realize I can change. I could be different. So just because you find yourself on the reactive side doesn't mean that you cannot start to practice proactive ways. Are you with me? So I want this part of the podcast to really encourage you as well. And here's the first thing when you talk about proactive and reactive. The best way to see that is that your words are a window into your mind. The best way to see where a person is at is that the words that come out of their mouth are literally a window to help you see what their mind is all about. It is a window into the mind of your life. When I hear you speak, I can look into the window of your mind. You don't realize that, but you should realize that what's coming out of your mouth is actually you opening up the window for me to see what is in here. Okay? So now, proactive people, they tend to be constantly learning. So that means that proactive people spend the majority of their time educating themselves, learning new information, learning things that are going to help them be better in life. This is how proactive people spend their day. Where reactive people feel they know enough. And so reactive people are probably more of your, and don't take this the wrong way, or, I love watching, little shows and stuff like that. But reactive people are more the type of people who veg out. They just love to watch a lot of TV or just get in vacation mode. It's just like they love to veg out. They're looking for the next veg moment. And these are more reactive style characteristics of people, that they're not up and on the go and such. And so, like I said, don't take that the wrong way. Understand and put that in the right envelope. But that's kind of the understanding. Proactive people are always looking for improvement and opportunity. So proactive people are looking, how can I get better? And they're looking for the opportunity to do so. This is a proactive person. Reactive people do what they are asked to do, and when they are done, they wait for someone to tell them what to do next. This is a reactive person. So that means I did what you told me to do, and now I'm not going to do anything until you contact me and you tell me what to do next. This is a reactive kind of characteristic of a person. Do you understand that? You with me? Very interesting. Like I said, wherever you might find yourself at, remember, you can make the change. You can make the change. Proactive people strive for change and desire to move forward. So when you're proactive in your life, you will strive for change. I love it how the Messiah says, strive to enter through the narrow gate. He's saying, okay, these proactive people, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to strive to enter through the narrow gate. And this is what proactive people do. They strive for change because they desire to move forward. Reactive people settle into the same old routines. So when you're more of a reactive person, you'll go back to your old ways. It doesn't mean that you won't have these moments of clarity where you think, oh, I need to change this. It doesn't mean that. That doesn't make you proactive because you can acknowledge the fact that you need to change something. You know, what makes you reactive is that you go right back to your old routine. The routine that you broke, that you knew wasn't good for you, you go right back to that. You're more of a reactive person when you do those kind of things. Are you with me? This is very good, right? Proactive people also, they tend to plan and think things through. So a proactive person sort of like thinks through things. They can connect the dots before the event occurs or before things happen. And so a proactive person will first plan and think through things. But a reactive person deals with things as they come. So a reactive person deals with things as they come, and basically reactive people deal with things typically last minute. Last minute, right? So they waste a lot of their time with unproductive activities. So people who are reactive, they waste their time with a lot of unproductive activities. They often feel overwhelmed with things. So when there is more than one thing to do that needs to be accomplished, they feel overwhelmed because they wasted their time with unproductive things. And so now they're feeling they're feeling overwhelmed because there's more than one thing they need to do. These are reactive people, not proactive people. So, reactive people, of course, they focus on the things that they cannot control. Things that are out of their control. You can't control that. Well, reactive people, they really can't let it go. They really hold on to that. And they really harp on that and go over and over. And it's like you can't do anything about that. You can't control that. And if you are someone who does that, then you probably are a very reactive person. Reactive people also allow their life to be dictated by external things. Let me kind of go into this a little bit. Reactive people acquit themselves of any blame. Okay? Reactive people acquit themselves of any blame. So let me just kind of say this. They say stuff like, that's just how I am. This translates to, I am powerless. Let's think through this. Reactive people acquit themselves of any sort of blame. They're never to blame. And when they are to blame, they say, that's just how I am. Which translates, when they say that, to, I am powerless. Okay? Reactive people also think this way, that these people are causing me to have a bad day. I have bad days because of these people. This is how reactive people think. This translates to, my emotional life is governed by other people. That's what that translates to. Deep, right? A great example in the Bible is once again in Matthew chapter 25. And in Matthew chapter 25, there are three servants. We might know this story. There are three servants. And the Lord gives these talents out. One gets 5 talents, one gets 2 talents, one gets 1. And at that rate, God doesn't say what to do with the talents. But 2 of the servants are proactive. They go out, and the one who got 5 talents gets 5 more talents. The one that God gave 2 talents, he goes out and gets 2 more talents. And the one that he gives 1 talent to, he takes that talent and buries it in the earth. That's reactive. Then the Lord comes back and he's like, hey, what did you do with what I gave you? What did you do with the talent I gave you? And this person says this. He's like, oh, wow, good and faithful servant, enter into the glory of the Lord. The other one, he says the same thing. And the last one, he says, you're a lazy servant. Reactive people tend to be more lazy. They don't get things done. They are busy. However, they never hit or achieve goals. It is busyness with no goal achievement. This is reactive people. And the Bible is a great example, honestly, of life itself and just all these different situations to be able to see where we are. So proactive people, their behavior is a product of their conscious choices based on values. I'll say that one more time. Proactive people's behavior is a product of their conscious choices based on values. Reactive people's behavior is a product of their conditions based on their feelings. Two different type of people. Deep though, right? I'll say that one more time. Reactive people's behavior is a product of their conditions based on their feelings. Once again, I would be better if this wasn't the condition. Okay? With all that being said, we'll get into sort of the end of this, which is beginning with the end in mind. And I'll go through this kind of briefly, beginning with the end in mind. So here's the thing I want you to think about. Where do you get your sense of who you are? Right? Where do you get your sense of what your life is about? What is your life about? Where do you get that sense from? And this is key, and I talk about this probably extensively in these podcasts, is that you're getting who you are, the sense of who you are, and what your life is about from your social mirrors. Okay? And now, as I talk about this, there are brain cells called mirror neurons in your brain that actually allow you to learn and to emphasize by observing the actions of others. Those you spend the most time with will affect you, which means that if I'm sad, if I'm angry, if I'm bitter, if I'm on drugs and I believe that I'm lowly in heart and I can't change my life, whatever the mindset of the individuals you hang out with, it's how God designed it so we can be like the Messiah. If we spend time with the Messiah, we will begin to speak and act and resemble the Messiah, right? It says it in the Bible that when we are ready, that we will become as the master, as the teacher. So this is how God created the system in your mind to work. That all you have to do is get around the right people and you will feel the right way. You will begin to mirror behaviors. This is important. I talked about this too extensive, but this is scientific as well. But this is also biblical. You see what I'm saying? It's leaking out of them who they are. So if they're a person who pities themselves, you will pity yourself too. Even though you might be the encourager in the relationship saying, oh, don't worry about it. It's fine. Da, 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 da. You know what? You become it. You mirror what your circle is. That's why my circle is very small. And I meet with people periodically for brief moments at a time. Because I realize the effect of other bodies around you. I realize the effect. So you have to start realizing, begin with the end in mind. And when you begin with the end in mind, I already realize that there are certain people that, based on me looking through the window of their words into their minds, that it's probably not going to be healthy for me mentally to spend a lot of time with that individual. Begin with the end in mind. Realize that this needs to be this, and then I need to move on. You understand that? Begin with the end in mind. Let's talk a little bit deeper about this concept as well, okay? You have to decide what your life is going to be about. Honestly, decide what your life is going to be about. Think about what I'm saying right now. Because every decision, large and small will flow from that. Once you decide, I'm going to be whatever, every decision you make will flow from that. All of your decisions and every direction you take in life will be based on that. Decide what your life will be about. Will it be about the church? Will it be about ministry? Will it be about the kingdom of God? Will it be about those who are serving alongside? What is your life going to be about? And see, here's the thing. Your life can be about self. What we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it, and we just want to be happy. Decide. That's fine. That's your choice. But decide what your life will be about. The other thing is focus on your destination and don't lose sight of it. Beginning with the end in mind is focus on your destination and do not lose sight of it. Here's another one I want to say. Beginning with the end in mind means not focusing on the current pressures of life. A lot of times when pressures come in life, we forget the end. If you knew that you was going to be successful if you continued on this road, you wouldn't stop no matter what the pressure was. And we allow the pressures of life to deter us to leave a ministry or to leave or whatever that might be, because at that moment we are experiencing a heavy pressure, a heavy weight. But if you begin with the end in mind, you won't lose heart when the pressures come and the battles come, because you realize God is taking us somewhere. God is taking us to the promised land. There is an end to the means, right? So don't lose heart through the darkest, hardest pressures of life. Wait through those things. Hold on through those things and go to the end. Don't forget what the end is going to be. Don't forget what the end is going to be. And when you begin it, begin with the end in mind and don't lose sight of it. When you start it, you start already realizing what the outcome, what the end is going to be. And I'm not going to stop until I get there. 3 life hacks. Number 1, help and give without expecting a return. Now listen to what I'm saying. Help and give without expecting a return. This comes right from the Messiah's mouth when he says, give, not expecting to receive it again. This is the way in which you will make good, healthy deposits into people. Some people don't even realize that you're not even making deposits into people. That you're just making withdrawals. Some people are not even conscious of that, which goes into last week's self-conscious podcast. But start there that's a great life hack. Help and give without expecting a return. Number 2 is push through to touch greatness. I think about the woman who has the issues of blood, who is proactive. She doesn't just sit in her house and be like, if God really loved me, he would come knock on my door and heal me. That's reactive. She gets out with her issue and she pushes through a crowd and touches the hem of the Messiah's garment. Push through to touch greatness. Push through your pain, your brain, whatever aches and whatever you got going, push through to get that mark, hit that mark of greatness. And number 3 is define yourself by your willingness to achieve set goals. Define yourself by your willingness to achieve set goals. That means you set a goal. I'm going to start working out every week. Well, define yourself that way. Define yourself by your ability. Don't cloud your mind or live in this denial state of life where you're just continually going downhill, but you're like, but it's okay. And you tell yourself all these weird, fake, delusional things. No, set a goal and hit it. Jesus had a goal when he came into the earth to die on the cross for the sins of mankind. And he hit that mark. That was the goal set, and he hit that mark. God had a goal to design the earth, and he hit that mark. He had a goal to build and make man, and he hit that mark. Do not set a goal and not hit the mark. Begin with the end in mind, which is the end was, this is the mark. This is the goal. You understand that? And define yourself by that. That means that be honest with yourself. I'm a quitter because I didn't hit this goal. Or I'm not a quitter because I sought it through. I stayed in school. I continued to study, even though it was hard and I had all these other things going. I continued to push through. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's all we got for you today. God bless you guys. Let's have a good time. You guys go ahead and close us out.
Trust you. I will lift my voice. I will lift my cry. I'm desperate for you. Let the storm rage on. I know you're shaping me to be more like Yeshua. So I count in joy as I go through trials. I will praise you, Lord, with all of my life. When the battle is thick and the suffering high, you still stand true. When fear is a tyrant, faith is my refuge. My heart is set on you. Let the storm rage on. I know you're shaping me to be more like Yeshua. Oh Lord, so I count in joy as I go through trials. I will praise you, Lord, with all of my life. Yeah. Let the trumpets play. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done. Let your power reign over us, Lord. Let your kingdom come, let your will be done. Let your power reign over us, Lord. Come on. I will trust your word over troubles of this world. I'll endure to the end of my life, Lord. Come on. I will trust your word over troubles of this world. I'll endure to the end of my life, Lord. Shake me and make me into who you want me to be. Despite the pain that I feel, I know you are the victory. Shake me and make me into who you want me to be, my king. I wanna see what you want me to see and hear what you want me to hear. Despite the pain that I feel, I know you are the victory. So let the storm rage on, because I know you're shaping me to be more like yes you are. Yes, Lord. So I count it joy, count it joy as I go through trials. I will praise you, Lord, with all of my life. Yeah. With all of my life.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching and being a part of this community. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. You're going to get weekly videos on building a growth mindset, cultivating grit, and unlocking your full potential.